understand. Hi, hello. To my understanding that we are now live on LinkedIn. So if anyone joins us and you have any questions or you want to let us know you're there, that would be helpful and we can answer them as we go. I'm so excited to have you here, Kirsten, and to be talking all about an ADHD retreat today. So we met on our last ADHD retreat, which feels like a really long time ago now. But maybe I'll hand over to you and you can just introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. I am Kirsten. I'm the founder of Gaia Learning, and yes, was thrilled to meet Leanne on LinkedIn and through the work that you do and the posts that massively resonated with me. It was it 18 months ago-ish now, that, or even longer, I think.
Year and a half.
Yeah. When the idea of an ADHD retreat came through my feed. And it wasn't long after I'd had my ADHD diagnosis, and it couldn't have been more of a sign of, I don't even think I hesitated in clicking through to it, knew it was exactly what I wanted to do, didn't even read any or very much further about it, booked it. And I'm so glad, because it definitely came at the right time for me. And I think I put a comment on the post, nothing short of changed my life, and I'm not exaggerating at all.
Thank you. How did it change your life?
Well, I run a school for neurodivergent kids, especially those who have ADHD and autism. Always inspired to set it up because my son has ADHD and really struggled in school. I spent his whole life, he's now taller than me, nearly 15, but really terrified of that label for him, because I knew just how brilliant he is as a human being, how creative, how talented, how but just in a school setting, those brilliant traits are not always seen. And I knew that with the right environment that was more flexible, that allowed him to move more and do the sport that he absolutely loves, when he can learn in a way that suits him, it shows his brilliance. And that's how Gaia has grown and supports kids like that. And also then, as the company's grown, we're obviously a very attractive employer for neurodivergent people as well. And that is a blessing and a curse, because we are also brilliant, and sometimes flexibility and working from home and not having any boundaries around that creativity and the hyper focus just means it's very, very easy for us all to burn out. And because we care so much about supporting the kids that we support, it's, it feels limitless in what you give and personalize and create. But I'm increasingly realizing that we are only humans and it's not limitless, and burnout is very, very, very real. And it seems counterintuitive to invest money in yourself and invest in time away from your business, away from your children, away from that, because my work brings me great joy and great satisfaction, and it's very all consuming, but in a really, really good way. But you don't realize that if you don't just stop and care for yourself and take a step back from the millions of projects and post-it notes and things like that, that you're not actually doing the best thing for yourself or your company or the people that you are so desperately and wonderfully supporting. So yeah, getting over that feeling of selfishness to go, actually, I'm just going to stop, was really hard to do. But as I said, it was so life-changing because I didn't realize the value in taking that break and stopping. And the thing that resonated so much was having the idea that somebody else could understand my ADHD brain on a retreat, because I was nervous that stopping, I don't know what's going to happen to me if I actually stop. So that was really comforting to see that. And it wasn't just any retreat that I was after. I was wanting a place where and I didn't even know if it was possible at the time, where somebody or a group of people would understand me. And that was what made it so special. I've never felt so seen, so able to just be who I really am, touch strangers. And part of my neurodivergence and challenges or disabilities comes with agoraphobia and that fear of new people and those kinds of situations. So I was really worried about that, but I can't tell you how much and that I felt so safe with strangers in a place that I didn't think I would feel like that. So yeah.
Thank you. That's so amazing to hear. And it was honestly like exactly as you described. I think having real life places that you can go, like I really struggle with booking holidays at all. It's just the admin of it. I kind of, even to book this was so difficult. And so before we had Josie helping, and now Bobby has helped like book it all, but I just struggle with it so much myself, and then want to be looked after and with nice people, and I'm like, that's all I want. So and then the same thing, I think being diagnosed with ADHD is so overwhelming and lonely, and like there's so much information online and people you can talk to online, which is amazing, but like to actually go and be in a place where there are other people like you is just one of the most amazing experience. And it was just one of the best things I've ever done, to bring all these people together that have ADHD and to be like, oh, we're actually all the same here. Like, in this place, we're all like normal. And to feel like you can just, I think someone asked someone for like what they want for breakfast, and then they ended up like 10 minutes later telling them about their dog. Like, still hadn't told what they wanted for breakfast, but it's like that is just a completely normal and accepted place, which is what I try to bring to everything that we do at ADHD Works. Yeah, because it's just like like your son in school. If you're in an environment with people that don't see you and don't think like you, it's like natural to feel like there's something wrong with you. But if you're in an environment where you can see how amazing everyone else is, and then you have that reflected back to you, you feel completely differently. Did that resonate with you?
Yeah, massively. You don't realize how much energy it takes up to wear that mask all the time in other situations. And so that even that being in a group of people where you don't have to expend that energy is hugely restorative, and then allows for so much more capacity to just take a deep breath, and also allowed us, I think, the space to do things that before I would have said, I'll never do that. That's way outside my comfort zone. I'm not going to do some of the silly, challenging, or introspective things that you got us to do. But I did, and I saw the effect that those things had on me, and my ability to then see my business, my long-term goals, what I was actually doing, or the busyness of what I was doing, and was that really valuable? So I think that bit where you get your diagnosis and then you go, okay, right, now what? And I do think we've come a hugely long way in the last couple of years with more understanding, more people talking about it, and that greater awareness. But there's still a bit like, well, do I take the medication? Do I, because you want to then do everything and then start with the coaching. And even when you realize that there is support through Access to Work, that takes a really long time. I think it took me over a year to go through just the process of getting that all set up. So that is really hard, because you want, right, now I know, now I'm going to know everything about it. And now, there is help, but that help's going to take a long time to implement. And they're all just different strategies that all add up. And it then takes a bit of time to even assess which ones of those are working well. And even if you start the medication, getting to a dose that really is beneficial for you is quite terrifying as well, to have that awareness of what changes in your body, the way you're thinking and planning. So having a retreat as part of your things, you know, that you can do as to help yourself, I think is a really essential thing, not in the whole strategy that is out there to help, and knowing not one thing kind of cures things. But I come back to the timing of the retreat for me, and the space it enabled was probably utterly foundational to me being able to understand the importance of, or the place of, therapy, coaching, having a PA, and all the other things that I now use to support me.
Thank you, Kirsten. Yeah, because I think it's that self-awareness part where we're like, cool, ADHD, got it, now what, next box, and like to actually slow down and take the time, because the same, I think with coaching, like it's amazing, obviously, thing to have and amazing conversations, but you have like these one conversations with people like every week or so, but then you're kind of back in the real world. I had a message this morning from someone that said that they basically felt really lonely since being diagnosed with ADHD because no one in their life understood it. And I think that it's such a lonely, horrible roller coaster, because it's like you suddenly learn this thing and you're like, oh my God, I want to tell everyone about it. Like, look at everyone, like, look at my life has changed. And everyone around you is like, I didn't really know about that or care about it. And like, they can't understand or have the same experience that you're having, because it's such a like bizarre. Yeah, in the last retreat I said it was kind of like going to Hogwarts, but it's like being someone telling you that you're a wizard and you're like, okay, thank you very much for that information, and where is the instruction manual for this? So yeah, I think bringing people together in real life, and like you say, like pushing you out of your comfort zone. So yeah, I just love doing it. I love doing that with everyone, and the same like from coaching so many people now and seeing they're doing amazing things like you, like running businesses or writing books or doing talks or wanting to create products, like hair products, like just so many ideas in one brain on a daily basis, and then being able to actually put them into action is so difficult, especially when you're alone. You don't have that like support network that's with you, and that you like friendship basically. I think people with ADHD can be really, really lonely, especially if we are running a business. Especially that is particularly very difficult, and to know what to prioritize and where to go first. And yeah, it's been so tough. So thank you for coming on it.
I think there is absolutely the place for finding your online community and that support. And I'm very comfortable behind a screen, working from home flexibly. That's how I survive my life. But that loneliness, as you say, and the misinformation, and getting in the wrong threads on social media, and the value of in-person, face-to-face friendships, where you do learn, because you met someone with ADHD, you met one person with ADHD. We are all still incredibly different in our challenges with it, but the value of that in-person, just to be accepted and then have a space to actually cry or say, I do feel lonely, or this is really hard, or is, in conjunction with the online space, is very, very valuable. So
it's literally key. Yeah. What were your favorite parts of it?
Well, I don't know. Do you want to tell everybody what kind of the activities or things that we did? Because some of them was crazy and bonkers. And
yes, the ADHD retreat we did was just a basic ADHD, normal ADHD retreat. And so, but I basically made up exercises on executive functioning skills to help people understand how ADHD actually affects them, because even that word, like attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, impulsivity, hyperactivity, and attention, like it doesn't mean that much in practice. So we did things like self-awareness and kind of acting exercises, almost, I'd say. Like, I shouldn't say it, people are not going to come. Put you out your comfort zones, like kind of like attention exercises, I'll call them. We did memory exercise, which everyone did amazingly. And again, like, because we got everyone to share like a moment of their life, like a really important moment, and bring everyone back together, which was something I did in my stand-up comedy course, where they got everyone to kind of then share the stories of the person next to them with their permission. But in the stand-up comedy course I did, everyone forgot immediately, and in hour one, everyone remembered it like word for word. And I was like, this is the ADHD interest-based nervous system. It was like, yeah, perfect. I can remember that. I can't remember to like eat lunch, but I can remember this thing that someone's told me, and it's so interesting in such detail.
But I think that's also so important about the space where you feel safe. And we do the same with kids. It's a lot about our environment. And if you feel safe to do that, then you aren't encumbered by the working memory dysfunction. You are in the moment, you are focused, you're right there in it, and you trust that space. So it's not that you can't do the task. And this is what we have with kids all the time. It's not that they cannot succeed in a GCSE. They absolutely can. The reason they can't is because they are thinking beyond the questions, and they're telling you too much, or they're mistiming their papers, and or they're just over anxious about the exam setting. But if you change the conditions, just literally the environment, you can still achieve the same things that you didn't realize you could achieve. But you have to understand what those differences are in your brain that make that challenging. And so even that exercise, knowing that you can do that, and that you just need to set the conditions right. And I think that also helped build confidence that you can ask for things. So I now, if I'm asked to speak somewhere, I will actually say, do you know what, I would rather join that in an online setting. Can you set up a call for it, and I'll like beam me in, because the public transport situation for me is so bad. So yeah, having the confidence to advocate for what you need. And I think until you realize what it is that you need, you don't even know that you can ask for that, and that will actually change your experience and your outcome. And that's been beneficial for everybody.
Yeah, I think you're so right. It's like working from home. Like, I didn't realize how much energy is to put into like picking what to wear and getting dressed and traveling. And like by the time I'd get to work, I was like a mess, because it already used so much energy up, and even just getting there in the first place. Whereas when I worked from home in the pandemic, I was like, oh, it's actually fun. Actually, I can do completely fine. And so it is literally all about your environment. And then I think, yeah, as you say, like once you see what you're capable of, you're like, oh, actually, like this helps. And knowing what you can ask for and what will help you is so fundamental. Like, I think again, that's one of the biggest like pain points once you get diagnosed with ADHD, and especially if you tell like your employers and they're just like, cool, what do you need? And you have no idea, because you've never been in a situation where you've actually had support before, and it's just really overwhelming. There's like millions of different strategies and things you can do, but until you actually do them and until you see what you're capable of, it's really hard to actually put these into practice and to trust that they'll work. Because I think that was for me a big, huge anxiety of thinking like, well, what if I get support and it doesn't work, and then I'm under more pressure and I have higher expectations on me? But actually, if you know that these things are going to help you and how they'll help you, then you feel more confident to ask for them. Yeah. I'm really glad to hear that. Good. Yeah, and we did rejection sensitive dysphoria, a big one, emotional regulation. So we did that exercise on that and had a big group session, which I think again is a huge, and it was just so amazing to see everyone's like stories and experiences. There's a woman called Liz Gilbert, and she says that you'll basically never have a creative fear. Like, and it's so true. Like, we all have got the same fears of like being alone and failing and not having any money and sleeping under a bridge, and like, but when you're in an environment with people that have exactly the same challenges, again, kind of like ADHD coaching, where you're like, oh my god, this person gets me, I'm not alone, I'm not crazy, there are people out there that feel in the same way. It was, and then strategies to manage it, because I think it's that validation thing of actually accepting it in the first place, and then you can work with it. But if you're constantly beating yourself up for being like dramatic and too much and just freaking out over nothing, then it's really hard to work with those emotions, and you're kind of controlled by them. Yeah.
And I like that exercise where we did a drawing one, didn't we, where it's how other people perceive you and how they they see you. And I do think we can get really trapped in our heads, and the danger of social media and thinking they've got it all figured out and they look great. But internally, that those stories that you tell yourself and those fears are, can be, you realize how that's not how the world is seeing you. And if you can then start to see yourself like that, and to go through those stories of what is the worst case scenario, or what was that worst or most defining thing that happened in your life, to then share it in that safe space and see it in a different way, you actually rewrite your own narrative of yourself. And I've actually still got the drawing that you did of me in that exercise, because it really, I was like, oh yeah, I see myself like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we've got everyone to do life drawing and draw each other. Never fun, uncomfortable exercise. But like, again, when you're kind of in it with everyone, and I got people to do things like close their eyes whilst drawing and draw with their non-dominant hand, and like just to get that out of your head of perfectionism, because I think also like creativity is such a huge part of all of us, but especially people with ADHD. And if you don't have like, if you grow up with this narrative of like, unless you're in drama school, you can't be an actor, or unless you're good at art, you can't do art, things like that. Like, to remind yourself there is no such thing as perfect. Like, people literally just draw a dot on the page and then that's sold for millions of pounds. It's all about like the story that goes with it. Yeah, that was so nice. And we had motivation. We went to cold water swimming. You went swimming. We all went swimming in the ocean in October.
Yes, that started that turned into a habit for me, and a real understanding of the effect of cold water on my dopamine levels. It is so powerful. And so after that, I was cold water swimming like every week and all through the winter, and New Year's Day, Christmas Day, and it has a better effect on me than the medication or anything. Like,
that's amazing. Yeah, it's like, yeah, just pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, trying new things. Because again, it's not like for the rest of your life you have to do cold water swimming, but now you know what works for you. And by doing something you wouldn't have normally done. I mean, head banging on the beach. Everyone think of the worst manager and sing to Rage Against the Machine and do head banging with their eyes closed. It was very fun. Probably put anyone off from coming now, but it was yeah, just one of the most amazing experiences like I've ever had. That time was literally like running a Hogwarts, an ADHD Hogwarts, and having all of these people in one roof that are all just like so different, but so similar in the same way. And my friend that I ran it with, Josie, she said, "Oh, I realized like ADHD is a thing." She's like, "They're all like you." I was like, "Oh, really?" She was like, "Yeah, they are all literally the same as you." Where like she'll ask me a question, I'll answer her with like a completely different answer story.
You
like,
just tell me that's not the answer to the question. Yeah, I'm getting there. I am.
Yes. Yeah, it was so amazing. So obviously we're running our one in August, and I wanted to do that one on ADHD ideas, because for me personally, I think it was something I wanted to do, to run just a place where people can put their ideas into action and like be in them, because we spend so much time being like, oh, make a Instagram for this book I want to write, or get followers, or make a website page, or we have to do this course, or get this stamp of approval, or quit my job, or all of these things that we're like, oh, once I've done this thing, then I'll do that thing. But the secret, like I'm just saying, of the book that I wrote. But it's just doing it. It's literally sitting down and being like, okay, all of these ideas, all of this energy, like what happens if I just put it into me and just start it? And once you've started it, the same thing, if you're in an environment of people that all are like, yeah, you can be a hot air balloon pilot, that's a great idea, like cool, like, and you just actually start making it happen and commit to it, then you hold yourself to it. And that was my experience in running it. But how did you, Sab, Gaia Learning, how did you go along making this idea a reality?
Well, it's just that. It's just one step and another step and another step. And yeah, did I ever think I'd be heading up an international online school for neurodivergent kids? Well, yes, I did, because I did have that. But it seemed like that's impossible. Not me. I'm a single parent in crisis with neurodivergent kids, and who would do that? But it's one step and another step. And the other bit about thinking, oh, I can't stop, or I can't have a break, or I can't go on holiday, is that the combining on the retreat the ability to also not take work with you, but still do a bit of work, and have the time and the headspace to look at that longer term plan and then break it down and talk that through with other people in the same situation is incredibly helpful, because you see, oh, wow, look, actually I'm halfway there already. And I think that's also okay for us as well. I don't ever think I would be able to go on holiday and just go, no, that's it, I'm just lying here in the sun for 2 weeks. That wouldn't actually be relaxing. So knowing that there are no rules around relaxing and what relaxing looks like, so that it is everything and it does all accumulate, and taking those times to look back and see just how far you've come is really, really crucial. And yeah, for me, it's been, if I'd looked at all of the steps I'd have to take now, where now we are an accredited international Cambridge school online, and we're raising investment. So, we've got angels and VCs and local authorities and parents and schools that pay for our service and invest in the idea. And it's not crazy, it's real, because it has. But you have to start. You just have to start. And one of the things, even on the retreat, the confidence around, well, I need to share this with people, and how can I, in an authentic way online? I was scared about posting on LinkedIn, and I think we even just had a few minutes of, actually, this is how you can structure a LinkedIn post, and like, okay. And so just doing the first one while we were away, and that was the start. And then now it's about getting our research into publications and being reported in the news and being interviewed. And so, but it starts with that first scary thing, and then you're like, well, I did it, so I'll just do it again and again and again and again.
Yeah, exactly. When it's like the swimming, you're like, okay, I've done it once, that helped me, and I'll do it again and again. And then before you know it, you're like, oh, now we're running. I'm an official adult business owner.
And it is that time where you for a long time in my business, it was, well, is it real now? Is it a real thing? Is it going to be real when I hire my first person? Or I've done, all those little milestones to it. But taking the time to stop and celebrate those things and see them and go, I never thought I did, is very, very important, because the only thing I think that stops ADHD, or could stop ADHD entrepreneurs, is, I think the loneliness is a very, very huge thing, and burnout. So you have to mitigate that in your risk strategy, and know that if you don't invest in those things, you are risking your business and your livelihood and your well-being. That is actually probably the only way you can fail, because I know everybody that I have met with ADHD has such energy and commitment and drive to be capable of anything they want to. It's only by not looking after yourself, or taking the time to connect with friends and remember that.
Yeah, I'm prioritizing.
Yeah.
Prioritizing health, friends, and
I know, look, I had a shower today and everything.
yeah, that prioritizing, because I think, well, now I obviously work with a lot of people that we train as ADHD coaches, yourself included, and it's like, courses out there can give you information, but then to actually put into practice, and I think at the start you're like, how do I even get started? Oh my god! And then once you're away, you're like ADHD coaching. There are so many people out there that need help, like so many of them, millions. And then you're like, oh no, I'm overwhelmed. And like you said, like if you don't prioritize your health and burn out and think about these things, say at the start, but like as you go, and to keep prioritizing them, and to take breaks and take a holiday and actually treat it like a normal job, you will just burn out. And I think for me also, I just don't even pay myself a salary for like age. I was like, I'll just live off savings. It's fine. I don't need any money. It's all good. And I work with a lot of people that are very similar, where they don't actually pay themselves any money and they're just working essentially for free all the time, and they mix themselves up with that business.
Oh, absolutely. You're realizing that, yeah, you become your business, and taking that separation, and actually even starting with little habits of just pay yourself first, even if you are, I was the same. You end up paying a whole team before yourself and more than yourself. But even if your team, you're paying more, pay yourself first every time. Just the mindset of that. And those little things that you realize make a difference. I mean, Josie was incredible on the retreat that we went on. And one of the things in the yoga, because we also did morning yoga and mindfulness, and I remember just how important that was to me growing up. And ballet was a huge part of my life growing up. And yoga it's just, if I do it, I know I'm a different person. I feel so good. It's just literally moving your body. And she used this jasmine scent on one of the things, but I do that. So every day in the evening shower or morning shower, I use that jasmine scent, and it's like it reminds you of what does really, really work for you. It's like mini retreat every night in 5 minutes.
I'm so happy to hear. I have a question from Bobby. Should ask people with ADHD, what are the things you need to have in place to help you make an idea a reality? And then she's got another question, but what are the things first off? Let's say that one first. What do you need to have in place to help you make an idea a reality?
Well, just about that jasmine scent thing, I think it's always have like a recipe box for yourself. So when you do know what works well, like even that I've got that picture on my my whiteboard behind here, knowing that there is, when you are in crisis, you're feeling overwhelmed, you lose that sense of reality, and it's just too much, and you are totally burned out. And to know that you've got that little scent of jasmine, or I really like fidget toy things, and actually now we have some Gaia branded things. So now when I speak, I always have one of the Gaia squishy balls. But pebble for me is really nice. So I remember, so I have a pebble, and I also have this, it's like the same kind of shaped seed, and I put it in the special box, and just remember that things that ground you back in your body, and they are also that trigger to say, no, I actually need to go to the beach with a friend and jump in the sea, because that did help me out the last time. And even if it's down to writing yourself notes, like, this did work. I know you don't want to do it, but when you do it, I promise you will feel better, and sign it with your own name so you remember, because I think we do sometimes think, no, it's just too much, I don't deserve it, or it's too much hassle, or but I don't know, what would your
I love it. Mine would be time is the first one. I love your one. In addition to that, I'd say time, because like this morning I had 2 hours free, which was quite rare. I sat down to do one thing, and I have now written a chapter of a book on how to run a business with ADHD. So I don't know how that book came out of me, but it's there, and I was really enjoying writing it for 2 hours, and I was like, we're here now writing this book that we did not intend to write at all 2 hours ago. Don't know where it came from. And I do think like ideas kind of come to you, like, especially having ADHD, you just have like millions of them. I've actually got a book that I bought recently to just write them all in. And I talked to someone this morning, he just had a million ideas. Yeah, podcast, YouTube channel, community, coaching, like all of the different ideas. And I said, basically put them in a box, like in a mental, and we use this concept of river of ideas, which obviously, is coaching, but it's a concept that says if you imagine a river with fish in it, and all of the fish are like ideas, if you were going to take one out to cook it, like the other fish would die if you tried to pick more than one up at the same time. So like just park them all in the river. I'm very excited because we've got a river where we're going in this retreat in August. It's like the river of ideas.
No dead fish though, I hope.
Dead fish there, but yeah, put them all in the river and like have a place like to just pour them all out of you. And like that book I started writing, maybe it will turn into something else. Started writing a book on hyperlexia last week. It's nice, the writing bit is coming back to me. But that's the thing, it's like you can't really force it. You have to just wait for the ideas to come to you, and then you can choose to follow them or not follow them, but you don't have to follow all of them, and like put them in the box. And then like when you've got that time to literally like spend with them and just like explore a bit, which is kind of what I want to do with the retreat, to just like, I'm coaching someone now who like has again like a million ideas, and they booked off some time to write a book because they've got no time. They booked off time in next month, but like booking that time off by yourself won't necessarily mean that you write the book. So because life is hard and there's lots of LinkedIn, you might end up on LinkedIn for a day. So like I think it's the time and then the commitment and like really being really protective. Like I had this really nice analogy recently of like, you know, when you go bowling and there's like guardrails they can put up. That's exactly how that's what I need in my life, and I need them as well if I ever go bowling. But like protecting your time and creativity within that space is so important, because if you don't, you'll end up burnt out because you're not doing the things that you love doing. And I think having ideas is such an integral part of having ADHD. So like time commitment, and that might be like you did what you mentioned about posting on LinkedIn at the retreat, like sharing it with people, because we have all these things in our head. And then again, if we're around people that are not very supportive, like my boyfriend at the time when I became an ADHD coach and quit my law job, he cheated on me. He said it was because he didn't agree with me quitting my job to becoming an ADHD. If you're surrounded by people like that, then it's better to know that you're not going to be best suited by being around them longer term. But also, if you like share them with people that really get them and hear them, and then your enthusiasm like connects with each other and like amazing things happen. So I think it's having people that believe in you and can help you actually do them, and like knowing also your own ADHD, like your strengths and your challenges. Because like I said, Bobby, without Bobby, I would not be doing this retreat, because Bobby just like organized all the admin. And I was like, I can't do it. At the beginning, I was like, it's going to be a month long. We could do 4 retreats in that one place, and we can do this and having people to help support you, and also like kind people that are patient to help you with that, like the virtual assistant, but like people that are not going to get annoyed when you then go and do all of their work after you've given them, sorry, but like people that get you and they're okay with that and they support you is again like, so I think it's people and people, time and space, just to carve that time out. Because having ADHD, like you say, like we can be so busy that we don't have time to stop and getting all these ideas and chasing them all whilst doing the other things in space of 10 minutes and this thing and that thing, and then getting annoyed at ourselves and changing everything without even realizing it. Yeah, does that resonate with you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it is, and really taking the time to understand what your strengths are so that you can let people help you to achieve what it is that's bigger than you. Because I'm now so much more clear on my role in the business and what is unique about that helps it to grow. And it's not doing all of the policies and things that I don't I'm not that keen on, but I would hyper focus on for, you know, and do. So I think the focus on where your strengths are, the things that the type of work that you do that really energizes you. I'm the same with writing. I will, when I get into, and it's like an all-consuming thing that just absolutely takes over and I cannot stop it. So I will then write for 18 hours without stopping. And I just, but I can't schedule that in and go, I need to write an hour a day. There would be no creativity out of that, or even coding for our platform, whatever. It comes, and I know it comes, and then it will not be there for a few weeks. But you can then look back and go, oh no, I now actually nearly have finished the book. Or even sharing on LinkedIn in that you can go back and realize those are all of my themes. I talk about them every single time. They're all the chapters. Now I can just write it out. So those things aren't wasted. And the guardrails, especially, I really struggle, and I wonder if there's any like parents and things watching that the guilt around that, like when I'm in a hyper focus of I'm writing now. So guardrails, things that I use are I have a regular gusto delivery, so I know that my kids have a regular healthy meal, and I know that it comes in a way that I won't waste the food, and that we can make those meals together, and that that's a good healthy meal that is guaranteed. And I think that might be it now. And that they can contribute to as well. So it's that time with your kids. And then a milkman. So every day there is milk on the doorstep and there is food in the fridge. Because if you don't do that, and then you get enough hyper focus, and then you feel guilty, then you end up ordering pizza and spending too much money, and then you don't nourish yourself or anything like that. So looking at what routines you can do so you don't have to think about it and add a layer of guilt.
Yeah, that's so crucial, because I mean it's like maybe you can only create from like a place of psychological safety, like with the retreat, but like to feel like, okay, everything else is taken care of. Like today I could spend those 2 hours writing because I don't have anything to do for once. Like I don't have anything like burning down and need to fix this and emails coming in, like, but so instead of spending that time like on LinkedIn, I was just like, okay, I'll just spend it over here. But I think like when you've got those kind of key foundations in place, because I think like parents are really cannot understand how you do it. Particularly you, Kirsten. I don't know how you are surviving, and you're like such an amazing mom to 3 kids, and like you're just doing such incredible things. But if you don't take that time for yourself and look after yourself, like you're not a human doing or like vessel with just your children to survive. Like, but by actually looking after yourself, you're then empowering them to do the same.
Yeah, and I guess it's also like trust your hyper focus and trust those that you have that in you. Like at the moment I'm moving house, and it's a really great way of tidying and sorting and decluttering, and I could have done that systematically, like they say, 5 minutes a day, do a cupboard here, a cupboard there. I don't do that, but have a project-based cleaning. Like,
oh my god, yeah.
Rally the troops, put on a certain song, and it can be you. So yeah, trust the strengths that you do have and celebrate the hyper focus, and then know that when you are in a period of feeling burnt out, that as long as you then prioritize putting in a retreat or something to nourish yourself, and really, whether it's a candle or a jasmine scented shower, or really relish that, because we don't operate like other people do in things, and trying to think that you should or will get to in the future. And I have every kind of strategy and accommodation in place but I just accept myself more in the way that I work. And you're right, absolutely, about people, is know which people deplete you and your energy and your focus and make you feel bad about yourself. Be really explicit about what strategies work for you. Or I went to a party a couple of weeks ago, and I know that I get overwhelmed by those things. And in fact, I had the confidence for the first time to actually take myself away and just go and sit in a room, because I didn't need to be in the bustle of it and force myself into that. But because my friend absolutely knows me and doesn't judge and didn't say, no, come on, be in the crowd again, I felt safe, and I actually enjoyed it. And then actually when the crowd died down, I had that one-to-one time with my friend. And yeah, that's self-awareness. Take the time to really know what works for you, and that you are brilliant, not disabled. It's just a different way of doing things that creates that magic stuff that people like you for.
Very beautiful. Yeah. I've got a second question here, which is very important. What helps you to keep going after the initial excitement is gone? Keep key important question for ADHD land. Because yeah, I think that's the hard bit, is like all the new ideas are so fun, and like God, I've got so many half finished. I fish, half eaten fish in the lake. But yeah, I think after that, because at the start, as I say, like that hyper focus is so engaging and like all consuming, and then it does wear off. It just always, because it's not sustainable to write for 18 hours a day. We've got 12 hours. So yeah, is there anything that helps you, Kirsten?
I don't know, but it is a very good question, and it is one I'm grappling with at the moment. It's my business's 5-year birthday this month.
Wow.
And it is that stage of, where I said I always wondered, when will it be real? When I have to apply for VAT, or when this, that, the other. And actually, we're about to close our first investment round. And that is, I'm like, oh, well, it's really real now, isn't it? Because other people have put money into this, and now I've got targets and things. I think it's to keep, again, the awareness of what brings you great joy, and realizing that you can become even more and more and more and more niche at that thing that you really love doing. So I'm really excited now for the next chapter in seeing these projects that have been building over 5 years come to life, backed by investment and a bigger team, a team of specialists. Like, when you are doing everything, a little bit of every part of your business, from the tax to the payroll to the tech builds to all of teaching. And it was a big thing for me to stop teaching as I grew it. But now I'm like, I thought I'm going to go back into teaching more of our students, because I don't need to do the coding. And so, being even more focused on what you're good at, I think sustains you. But I think that clarifies over time. I didn't think I would. Every other thing I've done, I've thought I had like a 2-year window, and then I'm bored. Like, work for a company 2 years, just now what? But this I want to be doing till I'm 97.
That's so amazing. Yeah, I'm the same. Like, God, I was thinking the other day with my law job, I was like, just want to stay in it for a year. I was like, that's my only dream in life, is to stay in this job for a year. And now I realized I've been doing this for 2 years, 2.5 years. And I was like, God, like, time goes really quickly. But it's funny because I think like that initial excitement, but yeah, when you've got your own business, you can keep changing it and keep it like you've got these opportunities. I think things like a book and things like that, like general ideas, is just trusting it, because like I wrote a book once about Boris Johnson. Emotional backstory of Boris Johnson and Dominic Cummings in the pandemic. It was really fun. It was really fun to write.
A sidetrack. That was a fish or a banana you didn't need to pick.
It was such a fun book to write, because I kind of just wrote about the reality of what was happening, and then like what I imagined, like their emotional, like a whole chapter of Boris Johnson on like a ventilator, wondering how he got to that point. And anyway, like that book was probably never going to be published, and that's okay, because the point of it was just to like, it was when I was working on all the coronavirus like laws and stuff, and it was so stressful. So it was kind of just taking that and doing something fun with it, and whatever. It was like a project.
Oh yeah, I have a half-written book. It's a romantic fiction set in space about AI. So yeah, that's in my river of.
I love it.
But it's nice to have something to pick up occasionally when you just need to dip in and give yourself some slack about enjoying the things that bring you joy. I don't feel like the job I do now is a job. It's not. I don't see it as a job. I just love doing of the thing that I'm doing. It's more about, I think, maybe being aware of when it comes to something that is difficult or you don't want to start, so questioning why you feel like that, and is that something to delegate? Is it, if it's not your strength, or if there's a part of it you have to contribute to, what is actually just that part, and to just do that part and then move on, so that you keep being excited on the things that are exciting to you, because that's where your energy should be, I think.
Yeah, it's such a good, because the same, like, to find accountability and like problem solving, like just thinking of this, when I was like, this book, I wrote 85% of it and then didn't touch it for like 9 months. So that was similar to Boris Johnson. I was like, wow, that was nice. It was fun to write. I understand my own ADHD better now. But then when I had the ADHD coaching, she said to me the first time, she was like, what do you want to do by next week? And I took it very literally, my like autistic brain. I was like, I need to think of something. So I was like, oh, I've got a book I could finish. And then I picked it back up and finished it in like 3 weeks. But through coaching, I could see what had got me off it, because I was almost about to finish it. And then I was like, oh, no, I don't want to like finish that, put it out in the world. Like, I'm not doing anything with that. It's just for me, like probably some of Boris Johnson's book. But like, I was like, oh, and especially I had to tell my work, and I really didn't want to, because in my head I was like, they're not going to let me do it, and then I'll get to quit because I'm going to hate them, and they literally did not care at all. Like, but having coaching and someone there to help me, like Bobby actually was helping to run the retreat, was like, there's someone else there, like holding those guardrails. It's like, it's going to be okay. Like, you know, you can do this, and holding you accountable, because once someone sees into what the idea, and they're like, this is a great thing that you're doing, they believe in you, and then you kind of owe it to them, and you're, oh, now I have to finish it. And it's really, really, really hard to finish these things, and they're really hard to share them with the world. So vulnerable and so scary. But then I think it's that exciting, trying to follow that fear and turn that fear into excitement. Because I think, especially like running a business, like I think you end up with like at the beginning it's really like fun and new, and then after a while it becomes normal. And like that's definitely the position I've been in for the last like year, where I'm like, what are we gonna do in the future? Like we're too successful. Like, I just like creating new ideas, and now I'm so trapped. But like, actually, when you can take that time out, like have a bit of a reset, and then be like, okay, what can we make again? And like get out of your own head of like, it's just trapping you, and like the like self-sabotaging problem solving, like which is keeping you stuck in these places. But actually, like, you can kind of do whatever you want, like in life, and people don't really care that much. But and yeah, whether you finish it or not, it's still like turned into reality.
Yeah, and the people thing is so important, whether that's a coach or whether that's a team, or for me it was a co-founder. So 2 and a bit years ago, I met my co-founder on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is awesome.
Wow.
And then also building a team of people who have different skill sets to you, and really looking into that and going, we need all parts of the team. And that is the celebration of diversity, and what a diverse team is the thinking differently, the having the different skill sets, appreciating different people as part of the whole of that. And then that shared vision of what you're trying to achieve to reach that, and knowing that you can then use your skills along the way. If I hadn't met Kate, I would still be writing research papers and trying to get enough evidence of perfection published in whatever. And it's instead it's been help another child, help another child, help another child. Wait, now I've got hundreds of case studies. Now I've got so much data. Well, now I can publish all of the theory behind the research that I've been working on. So yeah, I think identifying and putting yourself out in, whether it's a retreat or going to events that do make you feel uncomfortable, in just pushing the boundaries to connect with more people and see where your energies align, because life is about shared journeys and being able to remember it fondly in the end when I am 97 still. I don't know. I was going to say teaching online or becoming an avatar, but I have already cloned myself as an avatar. Quite exciting. I can speak 120 languages that I've never learned. And I think that's the other thing about where we're getting to with technology. It's more and more and more important that we do remember that we have a body. Sometimes I do get so hyper-focused that it's all in my brain. I'm not like my son. I don't climb on roofs and do all dangerous things with my hyper-focus, but my mind is so busy like that. So any opportunity to remember that I have limbs and that I need to eat and breathe in, it's hugely valuable and worth investing actual money in. And I think that bit about the economic exchange for something that is, but it's just well-being. I mean, we now have extended our curriculum out. It's mostly well-being courses and time with the children to just understand where they are and what they feel. And before we get anywhere near the maths and you need to pass this. And I'm grateful for the advances in AI and the tech that we've got, because it's showing more and more the things that tech can't do. We need to be in our bodies and connecting with real people and jumping in the sea. And it's not as cold this time of year, so if you haven't tried it yet, get in the sea. Or a river. Are you going to do any river swimming?
Yes, maybe. You could check out apparently our ducks. Thank you so much. Well, finish off, and do you have anything to share if anyone is thinking of going on a retreat, but they're like, that sounds like the most scary, weird thing to do, but kind of curious, but
I think you follow your ADHD impulse, and if you're anything like me and this has scrolled up through your feed and you think that's something I've wanted to do or the timing is right, just book it. Just press the button. But that, I think sometimes the best things I've ever done in life is just don't overthink it, because it will just pass by, and you will never regret spending that time with yourself. Actually, it sounds really selfish, but we don't spend that time in our own selves, and that's all we have at the end of the day.
Thank you. I really love that. Yeah, it's the place for you. If you're feeling like weird about it or curious or like that could be fun, like just do it. We're just great. I just kind of made the thing I wanted to make. It's been something I really wanted to do for a long time, like adult play scheme, because there's no places where you can go as an adult to make friends with other adults that aren't like go out clubbing, get drunk, go to a pub, that are just kind of connected around like mutual interest, and then especially like the thing about the ideas, because I don't know if you call it fortunate or not, but I was like a model from the age of 13, so I've been self-employed forever, so I knew that I could do stuff to survive, whatever it is I had to do. But I think when we have these ideas, like for me, like writing that book was so scary. Like the first one I ever wrote, I was like, oh, like I don't know what that is, but like it was only when someone saw it, and it was a publisher, like she was like a hybrid publisher, and she was like, this is really good, and she helped me to bring it to life. And I think it's that thing, like we need to have other people around us to help us see how great we are in ourselves, and to actually invest that time in yourself, because if you've got ADHD, probably your life is very tricky. In some certain, and the reason, well, that's why I've tried to put it we're basically will break even with it, but I'm not really running it for like profit. I'm running it because I just wanted to push myself out and do something fun and help other people bring that to life, because I know how valuable it was for me to have that people and the environments where like I could feel heard. And even like in Australia, like I used to feel really, really terrible and it was just completely in my head. But someone, I went by complete accident to this random mermaid swimming class, and someone talked about the fact they were depressed and anxious. And I was like, well, they look like a normal human being. And I was like, so if they feel like that, that means that maybe I could be okay. And it was just one of the most amazing experiences. And then I came back here and started running little groups like that in the library alongside my law job at one point, like mental health circles. And it was just so amazing to bring all these people together that were so different. Like my friends that were models used to come, and they would sit there and talk about how, they didn't have a pension, they felt ugly, and everyone hated them. And people were like, you feel bad. But like when we see each other's humanity, it just creates this really amazing connection. So
yeah. And I think it's also being in a situation where you aren't in a role as a mum going into those like play centers for kids, and then you're just so-and-so's mum, and you aren't yourself. And then even in work context, you are performing a function and you're in a role. So to be in a situation where you aren't having to identify or play a part, but you're just like it's just me. It's just hard sometimes. And also that was probably one of the most special things about the group you brought together on the one I went on, because everyone was so successful, so, and normal, and one you wouldn't ever have thought. And then you see that, and then you actually think, oh, wait, I'm okay. And once you think that, it's wow, then your power comes. And it, if I would translate it, in the last 18 months since that, Gaia has gone from strength to strength. And it is that reminder. And even if this isn't an event you're running for profit, or the people that are watching can't attend this, if you take away something to just know how valuable it is to just take 5 minutes a day in, after a shower, or to go and have a cup of tea in the garden before you start work, that doesn't cost anything. And
and just to believe in yourself as well, and to follow, trust your ADHD, like you said. I think you should trust it. Taking you where you need to go. You're here for it. If you watch it, Sarah, thank you. You should join us. If you watch this, you're here for a reason. The universe is lining everyone up for some. We think we've got all this control over it, and we don't. But I really wanted to run somewhere which was really focused on strengths, because I just don't think that we do that enough, especially in this whole ADHD world. There's so much talk about the disorder and the challenges, but just not that much time to just focus on all of the really great things about it, and how to actually bring that out of people and help them to make that a reality, because it would just, I think we need it. Like your school, Gaia Learning, it's just the most incredible thing. And it's such a common sense, oh yes, why don't we have a huge online school that can help all of these different kinds of people that learn in different kinds of ways? But
and actually, you know what, I can tell you a secret about Gaia, that it's that focus on strengths. The kids come to us because they aren't thriving in school, and they're absent, and the teachers don't know what to do, and parents are frustrated, and we do exactly that. Very first session, focus on their strengths, not the disorder, not the thing. What are their strengths, and what are they interested in? And they get to connect with us as humans, yes, via tech, but in a very human way, to say, what are you passionate about, and what fills you with joy? And it's a very, very clear knock-on correlation to then they start doing really well. Mm-hmm. And because they're online, we've got all of the evidence around how good they are, and creative, and thinking differently, but wonderfully. And we can report that back to the schools and the parents, and they're like, gosh, didn't know. And also what's really sad for me sometimes is for the children go, well, I didn't know I could do that either. And I didn't know I was really good at that. And I didn't know that was my, what makes me really special. And it just changes life trajectories at a much earlier age. And that's what I want for my kids and the younger kids. We've actually launched a primary timetable now, because there's younger, so we take kids as young as 8. And it's so simple, but so difficult. And so focus on strengths, take the time out to just go, what's great about you? What do you love doing? And you don't need to work so hard all the time. Exactly. I'm saying that to myself as well. I'm going to remember that.
Then you need to put the guardrails up for the boundaries.
And book a retreat.
Environment, you're like, oh, I'm in here, woohoo! And you, thank you so much, Kirsten. It's been so beautiful and lovely to hear your experiences, and so special for me, because we do things so often and don't take that time to reflect on them. So I'm so pleased and privileged to have been able to hang out with you.
Thank you for organizing it and setting up the community and having a chat. And anybody who goes on it, enjoy it. It'll be wonderful. You won't regret it.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for listening. If you have any questions, just feel free to drop us a message.
Bye.